Hello everyone. Welcome to this session on data protection at scale using Amazon Macie. In this session, we will talk about how customers like yourself can use Amazon Macie to identify, protect, and continuously monitor sensitive data in S3 at scale. My name is Neil Sendas. I'm a Senior Technical Account Manager here at AWS. So here's the agenda for today's session. We're going to talk about key drivers for Amazon Macie, some of the key features and capabilities of Amazon Macie. Now, based on feedback from customers such as yourself, we have made significant changes to the product. And I'm going to talk to you about some of those. And then we're going to look at a use case. Finally, we'll talk about some of the key takeaways. Now, here are some related sessions that you might want to check out as well. Before I get started, here are some of the capabilities of Amazon Macie. Let's talk about what are the key drivers behind the service's popularity. Now, one of the key drivers is productivity. Now, as organizations are enabling their customers and their businesses to be more productive, they continue to generate growing volumes of data. And then it has become increasingly difficult, expensive, and time-consuming for security teams to identify and monitor how their business-critical data is being shared and accessed. So they are looking at visibility into where their sensitive data is, and once they find them, they want to know how are they protected and accessed, and how often are these data access policies changing. Secondly, with the growing regulatory concerns and compliance requirements around the globe and some of the changing requirements such as GDPR and CCPA, which is the California Consumer Protection Act, has increased the challenges and expanded the definition of what is considered sensitive data. And thirdly, now the onus is on the customer to keep up with these ever-changing guidelines. So they have to build expensive monitoring and classification tools and frequently update custom data classifiers. So those are the key drivers behind Amazon Macie. Now, what is Amazon Macie? Amazon Macie is a fully managed data security and data privacy service that uses machine learning and pattern matching to discover and protect your sensitive data in AWS. There are four main themes around features supported by Amazon Macie. The first and primary function that Macie enables customers is to gain visibility and allow them to evaluate the security posture and security policies around their bucket inventory. Facts such as how many buckets they have, what type of data is stored in those buckets, and what are some of the control security policies on that bucket. Now, once customers have visibility into where all the data is, they can inspect the data to discover sensitive information by configuring customizable inspection jobs. Macie leverages a combination of built-in data identifiers that can be centrally managed at an AWS organization level. Additionally, Macie also allows customers to define custom data identifiers so that they can detect patterns which might be unique to their business. The final theme is around automation. Macie supports a fully managed API interface that allows customers to automate workflows and take actions on discovered data. Now let's take a deeper dive into these themes again. The first feature is inventory evaluation, where you can have a high-level summary of the total number of buckets, storage size, object count, etc. that are available in a dashboard. Now, Macie automatically and continuously evaluates all your S3 buckets and alerts you to any unencrypted publicly accessible buckets or buckets that are shared with accounts outside of those you have defined in your Macie setup. Additionally, there are control findings that can be leveraged to alert and notify anytime there are security policy changes on these buckets. Here's a Macie dashboard that shows total number of buckets, number of unencrypted buckets, total and classifiable storage, as well as total and classifiable objects. Next is discovering sensitive data. Now, once customers highlight all the data sets and buckets, they can then select the target sources where they would like Macie to inspect for sensitive data. This can be done by creating inspection jobs. Macie maintains a growing list of built-in classifiers for common sensitive data types such as credit cards, bank account numbers for financial services industries, and passport, driver's license, etc. for national identification. Additionally, customers can define their own classifiers. Macie gives customers full flexibility to define how much and where exactly they want Macie to inspect for sensitive data by leveraging criteria such as tags, modified time, or extension types, etc. Now, when it comes to onboarding accounts, one of the key features we have enabled is to allow customers to easily scale this service across multiple AWS accounts. Macie supports multiple accounts through multi-account setup with up to 1,000 member accounts, so customers can use the features of delegation to set up multiple member accounts, or if customers are leveraging one of the built-in features of AWS organizations, one can scale these services with a few clicks to up to 5,000 accounts. Using AWS organizations, customers can leverage the Macie administrator architecture and create jobs on behalf of their members. A typical use case would be where customers or organizations have centralized data governance and data policy teams, allowing simple management at scale. Now, once the jobs are configured and inspection is underway, the findings are reported automatically in the console. Customers can act on these findings and view them within the AWS console, as well as export them for future usage. These findings are also automatically reported to Events Engine that allows customers to then easily integrate these into their alerting and notification tools. Customers can then use Lambda functions to take actions on these findings. Now, along with classification findings, Macie also reports policy findings at the bucket level. Policy findings that alert and notify of changes in security posture of buckets are automatically reported to AWS Security Hub, which is AWS's centralized security visibility tool. Now, that pretty much summarizes all the key features provided by Amazon Macie. Now, let's take a look at a sample implementation. So here are some typical data protection challenges one can face. Without Macie, one has to provision the S3 buckets manually. You'll have very limited opportunity to view, manage, and identify all S3 objects across your company from a centralized location. And one might have to run external jobs to manage and control S3 usage. Here's a Macie deployment architecture for reference. First, you deploy Macie at an organization level, and then delegate administration to one of the linked accounts that can administer Macie for that account. Then enroll existing and new buckets in member accounts. Finally, all findings can be sent to EventBridge for automated remediation. Couple of things to consider when designing your system. Always use a descriptive naming standards for discovering jobs. Use a separate classification jobs per account, and track buckets that have been scanned and have classification jobs running on them via tagging. Have a single job per bucket due to the immutable nature of Macie jobs. Now be very careful to not create multiple classification jobs, because you might end up being charged duplicate charges for a given bucket in case if you have multiple jobs running for a single bucket. Next, let's look at some of the automated remediation steps. Now, Macie allows for admin delegation with organization. So based on the principles of least privileges, this probably should not be your management account. And then Macie follows a similar service delegation concept, such as the one used for services like guard duty. And then S3 bucket lifecycle events can be captured and acted on using EventBridge rules. So you need to know when any bucket was made in any account and delegate these events back to a place that is manageable. Now the event pattern here defines that any API calls from S3 matching create bucket or delete bucket are captured. In this instance, the action is simply passing the event to a single destination across the accounts. Now, to delegate events back to the to aggregate events back to the delegated admin, we need a target for the rule we just built. The rules living in the member accounts should be coupled tightly with an IAM role. Back in the admin account, an event bus is set up with a policy allowing either a list of accounts or organizational units. As a trigger for the rules, a lambda with a role needs to be to have permission to create, and if delete bucket is also being captured, should be able to cancel Macie classification jobs. The delegated admin's event rule should be attached to the custom event bus and targeting the new functions. With the lambda being fed create and delete S3 bucket events from all accounts, classification job management can occur at this single point. The code is quite straightforward, as you can see here. For the function, simply parse through the event for the bucket and accounts, do any extra things desired, then create the classification jobs. The classification findings can be captured with EventBridge as well. If we follow the same pattern as defined earlier, where we set up an events rule in the delegated admin account, we can create event rules and custom bus in the designated account as well. Using this, we can easily route the findings to the proper team's infrastructure to consume. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can export Macie reports in numerous formats using the API or the console. We can also define a fan-out architecture that allows passing of the events to multiple outputs. So here are some of the key takeaways. Macie can be centrally managed using organization and delegation admin feature. Macie not only provides visibility into one's S3 buckets and its policies, but also allows you to discover sensitive data using built-in and custom classification jobs. You only pay for the resources that are classified. And you can take actions on defined classification jobs findings by writing automation scripts and integrating with other AWS services such as CloudFormations and Events Engine. So with that, I'd like to thank you for attending this session. Hope we provided you with an overview on how you can use Amazon Macie to protect your S3 data. You can scan your S3 buckets and write custom classification jobs to discover sensitive data, and then take corrective actions on these findings to improve your security posture. Please don't forget to complete the survey. Thank you, and have a good rest of the day.